What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 79 of the RUDIS Wrestling podcast. Matt, I feel like you and I have not talked for a while, and I know we talked last week, but for some reason, it seems like we haven't talked in forever. I don't know why that is, but we have a lot to talk about today.
Yeah, there just hasn't been a lot, and I guess heading through our first full year of podcast coverage, I think there's going to be
when's year one, Matt? When was our first one?
What is that? October?
I looked at.
I think it's October.
Oh, I was gonna say September, but it could be. I'm gonna look it up real fast for us. Yeah, and then we will be seeing each other this weekend. So you and I are gonna do a live podcast this weekend. Dake Dieringer is this weekend, August 17th. I will be in Columbus/Marysville, Ohio, for the RUDIS Wrestling Summit. And so we are gonna hop on the podcast together and talk about the Dake Dieringer match and other things going on. So that should be exciting, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah. So what's been new with you? I saw that the world champ, what's his name, in disc
Paul
golf,
McBeth. Yeah,
came up to.
That was a blast.
Was he giving his stamp of approval on the new disc golf course on the property, or what?
It was more like he's an MMA fan, and I'd kind of talked back and forth with him on social media for a while, and he had a tournament in Illinois, and it was like, hey, why don't you just stop by, since you're semi close to here. So they came up, played some disc golf. It was fun, and him and his wife were really nice, and my course, he enjoyed the course. It's a little rough still. I'm kind of cutting it out of nothing essentially, so it's going to obviously get better as the years go on. But I think he enjoyed it, and it was fun to watch. Obviously, it's always fun to watch someone who's great at what they do go to work.
So let me ask you this. I'm kind of interested. So
sure.
When you're talking about disc golf designs, are they pretty much just independently done, or are there like companies that actually get contracted out to build disc golf courses?
No, there are not. So, okay, Matt, so I'm going to tell you something you don't know about me. I set a whole bunch of goals when I was age 20 to reach by the time I was age 30. And one of those goals was to play 750 disc golf courses. So I did that. I did that at 30 years old. I was one day past my birthday, 30 years in one day. So I got pretty close. So anyways, I played 750 disc golf courses. So I've seen pretty much everything you could see. And so say 96 could be higher even percent of courses in America are free. They're just at town parks, right? And so when a town park puts them in, generally it's just like, hey, the guy who does landscaping or whatever for the town says, hey, we should put a disc golf course. It's pretty cheap for a park. The town says, okay, go do it. And so you could get a wide variety. The amount of pay courses are really, really, really small. Like I think 2% might be an overestimation, actually. So your pay course is obviously a lot nicer, but no, there is no standard of this is what a disc golf course looks like. So yeah.
Now, are there styles of courses like in traditional golf? You have like links golf, which is kind of tied to more European play, and then your regular golf courses that we would associate with in the United States. Are there differences between international disc golf courses and domestic disc golf courses?
Well, oh my gosh, we're getting disc golf. This is fantastic. I love it. I would say probably 80% of disc golf courses in the whole world are in America. It's getting fairly popular in Europe. Japan's got quite a few. Australia's got some, but obviously it's most popular in the United States, where it was actually developed in California. Got developed because some dudes making frisbees at the Whammo factory, then went out to work and they said, hey, all right, how many shots does it take to get to that tree, to get to that light post, to get to whatever? And then everyone said, hey, this is kind of a fun game. Maybe we should actually do something real. And then they made a pole hole, and then eventually they made a basket. Now it's kind of a real sport. But no, I don't think anyone quantifies the courses quite like that. I mean, obviously, my property has everything that you would really need for a great course except for water. We have a lot of hills, we have a lot of woods, we have some open space. So we got a nice mix of stuff. We're missing out on the water. The water really helps a lot. And it's a great feature. We don't have any of that. So, but no, I don't think there's a very specific type of course.
Gotcha. One more question.
But
and
the World Championships is this week.
So was Paul on his way to the World Championships when he stopped through?
He played. So he went there for some practice first, then he came up here, and then he went back. It's like 3 hours away. So he has first round yesterday. I believe he's in 5th place out of like 200 after day one. It's a 5-round event. So, it's more like obviously everyone's going to get hot for 1 round or 2 rounds, but it's who can play the best over the course of 5 rounds.
So, Paul, I mean, this is a professional tour, right?
Yeah, real deal. Absolutely. All over the world.
So he probably does similar to like traditional pro golfers. He's in Chicago scouting out the course, shot up to you to play around at your home course, and then went back down to the tournament. Cool.
Yep.
Very
exactly.
Cool.
Yeah. So you know what? I should at some point come to RUDIS and take you guys out. They have some decent disc golf in the Columbus area. And Ohio in general. So I'll take you guys out for a round sometime. I know you got some. Listen, last time I was at the RUDIS, last summer when I was at the RUDIS headquarters, I got a lot of the employees. They love playing a little frisbee. They love throwing it around the parking lot. So we'll go out and see if we can't get on the course.
No, I think there's a local course right here in Marysville. Maybe we can take some.
Oh, there is. You're right. I've played it. Yeah. I've played it. It's not great. It's middle of the road. It's solid.
So maybe I'll tell because a bunch of our sales guys are into it. And they actually, I think a couple of them are actually in a rec league that they meet and play.
That's funny.
I'll tell them to bring all their discs this weekend to the summit.
All right, we'll go throw some bombs. I love it. Hey, so the other thing I want to catch up. Well, we have a lot of things to catch up on. Yianni Zain is still not decided. I just texted Yanni this morning. There's nothing. Matt, this has been going on. So if you remember, it was 2.5 weeks ago. The Penn State camp put in for a dismissal. Is that what it's called? Dismissal? Yep. Okay. Dismissal. That was said, nah, you guys don't get a dismissal. So then they decided to hear the case. But, I mean, we thought this was going to take a day or two, Matt. We're at 2.5 weeks. Matt, it's really one call. It all hinges on one call. I don't understand how one call can take 2.5 weeks to discuss. I mean, I can't possibly imagine, and I know lawyers get into the nitty gritty, but I can't really imagine what you and I would, Matt, listen, you and I could barely talk about it for 15 minutes, let alone for 2.5 weeks. What the hell are they talking about?
We talked about it just a little bit here or there, and for me, it's more been, hey, checking in on updates. Have you heard anything from Yanni? Any new developments? At this point, if it came down to one sequence, and if it was that simple, at this point, I would think if there was an immediate solution, I think we would have heard that in the first 48 hours. Now
that
we're stretching into 2 weeks, for me on the outside, and again, I don't know anything about this, but I've been a part of some of these arbitrations before in the past. I would almost think at this point, they're trying to determine or agree on the wrestle-off. I actually think it's going to a wrestle-off at this point. And for me...
that's what it feels like for me, too. I think you're correct on that.
So if the wrestle-off is imminent, what they're probably trying to determine is if it's 1-0 Zain or 1-1 Yanni. Yanni, if it's split 1-1, and so is it winner take all in a one wrestle-off match, or is it Yanni has to win 2 straight? And I'm sure that's and this is all speculation, right? Because we don't know, but based upon the length of this and the duration and how it's being strung out, you would just think they're probably trying to determine the format for and the criteria for the wrestle-off.
And when it's going to happen, but they don't have much time left. I mean, we're talking they're leaving for the World Championships in 3 weeks.
Which then, I mean, you and I, I mean,
They got to go.
We're a month out.
They got to do this.
And so acclimation camp, I think they leave 10 days out of acclimation. So there's only 2 weeks to get this done. And so I know something you and I talked about, like, okay, if they determine there is going to be a wrestle-off and USA Wrestling mandates the date and time, does this open up a Dake argument for Zain to say, well, I've got a doctor's note. I'm still a little injured, dinged up. My doctor will tell me I can't wrestle until a specific date and time and possibly location.
Well, sir, I mean, so Matt, here's the 2 things they would negotiate on, right? Number one, was the call, 3 things. Number one, was the call correct or not correct? Okay. So if they say the call is correct, then it's over. It's 2-0 Zain. He wins. Right. So I think that's got to be determined. So they must have said the call is incorrect, procedure was not followed. So then they say, okay, is that match null and void, or do we count that match and it's 1-1 Yanni? To your point, right? So now
I could, if you want to get in the specifics of that, they could possibly argument based upon the late timing of the challenge when Penn State
because the match was over. There was zero time on the clock.
So if they say it was if the scoring was misapplied and they give the match to Yanni, Penn State can't really come back and say, hey, well, we want to re-wrestle that match. Well, you challenge after time expired, and so therefore, if we change the scoring sequence of the match, you can't really go back and re-wrestle it, right?
So you can argue whether it's 1-0 or 1-1, and then the third thing you can argue is, what are we gonna do this wrestle off? That's simple, right? What are we gonna do this? Are we gonna do this August 22nd, August 24th? But essentially, you have to do it by, what World's, like I said, is 4 weeks away, so you got to do it.
You would think you've got to do it by the end of this month. Really did.
Yes.
At this point, fair is out the window. Fair, the ideal situation for either one of these guys is kind of thrown out the window. So it's almost like, what's, the least risky thing? What's the fairest if there's a fair circumstance for either one of these guys at this point?
Fair is out the window. Let's just figure who the representative is going to be. It's a disaster. It's a disaster. It's taking this long, Matt, because the Final X match was 2 months ago. How the hell are it's taking this long to figure out whether that call was correct or not? Give me a damn break. Okay, let's get off that because we don't know the answer. The other exciting news, I want to get your take on this, is the Mekhi Lewis said he's Olympic redshirting. I think that's very interesting because he did not even compete this spring whatsoever in any freestyle events. And so I figured, hey, that's out the window for him. He says, I'm doing an Olympic redshirt. When you look at 165, obviously that impacts that weight class because he's a returning champion. But do you really think he has a chance at beating Burroughs, Dake, and Imar?
No. The simple answer is no. Could he compete? Could he wrestle with them? Yes. Could he compete and challenge them? I don't think so. Now, I haven't seen how he's jumped, and we haven't seen him. Yeah, we don't even have any comparisons to make. It's not like with Vito. Looking at Vito, he's second in the world at Junior Worlds, but he was also fourth. And
we saw him at the U.S. Open.
Yeah. So we're that's a great decision on Cornell's part to redshirt.
Wait, Vito's Olympic redshirting?
I've heard they're Olympic redshirting everybody: Yanni, Vito, and Dean.
So obviously, I hopped on the RUDIS Live Instagram Live yesterday, and I talked about 57 kg, which I know I sent that to you to check out and give us your take on it, but I did not know it was official. I thought it was official that Yanni was taking one, but I did not know it was official that Vito was taking one as well. That's a great strategy by them.
Yeah, if you're going to do it for one, do it for everybody. And because then you have a nucleus of guys that's going to be back for multiple years together. Yanni, yes. Vito's got 3 more years. Yanni's still got 2. Dean would have 2 more years. So if you get multiple guys over the course, give them 2 opportunities to win a team title together as opposed to 1.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that's a good move on Cornell's part. But also, based upon what Vito's done, through the spring and this summer, wow. I know, when you jumped on Instagram yesterday, 57 kilograms is absolutely insane.
It's nuts. It's
insane.
Nuts. So insane because what I was saying in that post was that we haven't seen a lot of these guys against each other. So it's like, with some of these weight classes, we've seen these guys against each other multiple times, and some of them are close, and we say, hey, how's that going to go? But generally, we have an idea. Some of these guys, where it's like Nick Suriano's only freestyle match that I can remember, he goes in and he beats Joe Colon. Like, he's obviously beaten Daton Fix. Where does he fit in the bracket? Just there's just so many question marks in that group of guys for me.
And where does he fit once he goes down to 57? How's he gonna acclimate? How's he gonna turn around? How's Nashon? How's Megaludis? How's Clone? going to turn around after a 2-hour weigh-in and compete at 57. We know what they can do, up a weight class because we've seen it. But how are they going to perform down a weight class over a two-day period? And you even said it, like it puts more of an impetus on Fix to medal this year.
Yeah,
if he can medal this year,
man,
holy cow, does that make your life a heck of a lot easier?
So much easier. You get to skip all them dudes. Forget them. They're out there in the bracket. They fight it up to get a piece of me. That's what he wants to do. I mean, Matt, you haven't seen Spencer Lee against any of these guys in freestyle either.
Right. At all.
I mean, he hasn't wrestled a freestyle match 3 years now. After his junior year of high school was the last time.
And a lot of people, I've heard some people say, well, he didn't really win a world title. He was at a little boy weight class at 50 kilograms.
Whatever. He won 3.
Come on, give me a break. He won 3. He's going to be fine. He's proven it. He's won 2 NCAA titles at 125. He's going to be just fine.
Yeah. Hey, shameless plug, Matt. I did an interview with Spencer Lee last week. I thought it was a lot of fun. He brought up the possibility of Olympic redshirting. It's on the RUDIS Wrestling channel on YouTube or on our iTunes podcast app, so you can check that out. I honestly thought Matt Spencer opened up more than I thought he would. I thought he was going to be more closed off about kind of some of these ideas, and he kind of opened up. So that was a lot of fun. So you guys can go check that out if somehow you missed it.
I mean, it's always refreshing. Like I love when you hear real candor and real dialogue from an athlete instead of hiding behind sound bites. It's obviously there's reasons why people hide behind sound bites or when a heads their bets about what they're going to do. But his level of candor and his insight, I thought it was great. If you haven't, I'll say it too. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely tune in and check that out. It was a great interview.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun for me. He even gave me crap. And his girlfriend was off camera, gave me crap about my stance on Iowa. So, you can listen to that one as well. I had a blast. Okay, gun to your head right now. Who are you picking for 57 kilogram Olympic team 2020?
Fix. That sounds like an easy pick, but I just think.
No, I'm doing it. It's a smart one.
I think, what he's shown, how he's jumped. Against and we talked about this in the past. I think he beat a better Gilman than last year. I thought Gilman was improved. For him to go out there and take the spot and the opportunity that he has ahead of himself in Kazakhstan. I think just that experience. Yeah,
I mean that's a huge one right there, Matt. Just the idea that he can skip the wrestle-off process.
And that's my thing. Probably the basis on my decision is I think he's going to be in the finals of the Olympic trials after the World Championships. I think he's going to medal. I think he's going to be in the finals, and I think that's going to be a huge advantage for him.
Yeah, that's what if I'm thinking about who I would pick today, that factors in immensely because I think there's a good chance he does medal. If he does medal, he's sitting out, which puts him so far ahead of everybody else.
That's such a huge advantage. I mean, that's going to be critical at so many of these weights. And we haven't jumped. We've talked about it in general, but I mean, that's what we were talking about yesterday. I think it's really, really critical for Burroughs to medal.
So
given
critical.
Everything. And I've been the one. I don't think he's lost a step. But I do think the more time he can give himself to recover and not to go through a bunch of battles back to back to back, I think it favors him. But yeah, that's going to be interesting. I guess I kind of cut you off and I didn't really give you a chance to talk about
I don't remember you cutting me off.
Your Mekhi Lewis. We kind of like glossed over that and ran through that really quick. What do you think about that decision by Virginia Tech?
I mean, like I said, I kind of texted you yesterday. I don't know Virginia Tech's lineup well enough to really say, oh, this is going to affect them in 21. So Mekhi Lewis has got 3 years left, Matt. So it's like I'm not looking down the road to 2023 for Virginia Tech, but I bet Coach Roby is. I bet he's saying in 2023 this is going to be our lineup, and with Mekhi Lewis in it, it's going to be huge. And I think some people talked about McFadden coming back down to 165 because he got bumped up.
It's his more natural weight. And that probably would be, I'm sure McFadden's excited, going into his last year, going back down to his natural weight is probably good for him. And he's placed there before.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a drop off. I mean, you're not.
You get Chenzo out of there for him, so you didn't have to beat him again.
Yeah.
That's got to be nice, right? I mean, take him
Yeah,
off the board.
I think the guys that we haven't heard the possibility of an Olympic red shirt, Joseph, Marinelli, those guys are probably like, not that they're scared about Lewis being in the weight or not, but it's like, okay, if that guy's not there,
yeah,
it makes my path a little bit better.
Absolutely, no joke. Well, I'm looking through Virginia Tech's lineup right now. So obviously, they have David McFadden, who's tough around those weight classes. They got the Hunter Bowling kid, who's pretty scrappy around those weight classes. Tom Slay, Zach Savetsky graduated, so he's out. So yeah, I mean, there's not anyone obvious to throw in there, I don't think. Yeah, so I guess it was just for the McFadden thing helps out, and then I guess maybe there's something else down the road that I'm not seeing.
Now, how do you think the dynamic goes? Like, obviously, there's some collaboration between the coach and the athlete, but
yeah,
from your conversation with Spencer, did you get a sense like it's going to be, the brands making the call about his Olympic red shirt, or is he going to have input on what happens?
Well,
how much? And maybe I'll give you a two-tiered question, not only specifically with Spencer, but in the Mekhi Lewis case, on the outside looking in, it's like, hey, it's probably looking like 2024 is probably in his wheelhouse, maybe not 2020. So, but if you as a coach, put yourself in the mind of a coach, what would your dialogue be to him if you really thought 2024 is a better option for him?
Well, are we talking? Did you say Mekhi or Spencer? Which one are we talking about now?
Both.
Okay. I think due to who's there, I think Mekhi Lewis is farther off. I mean, you have at 74 kg, you have Dake and Burroughs, just those two, both best in the world. I mean, they've both literally been the best in the world within the last couple of years. And so you have to beat both of ththose guys, and he's a 19, 20-year-old guy. That's going to be a challenge. At the other weight class, so Daton Fix, Spencer Lee's been in the room with Thomas Gilman. He knows exactly where he stacks up with the guy who's been number 1 or 2 in the country for the last 4 years, and a guy who's been number 2 in the world. He knows where he measures up against that guy because he wrestles with him all the time. Now, they've kept a very tight lid on how that goes. I don't know how it goes. You've never heard how that goes. None of us know how that goes, but Spencer Lee knows how that goes.
But we also have a little bit more of a sample size, too, because he has competed against Fix. He has competed against Tomasello.
Wait, but that's it's been 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a while. I mean, so he's obviously beat Suriano, but they said Suriano was sick or whatever, and it's freestyle, so it is different. But he hasn't competed against Gilman, not Fix in freestyle. And then obviously all of those 61 kg guys, he hasn't competed against them. So I don't really know how that's going to look. But I think if you're Spencer, you know what you versus Gilman looks like. Listen, if Gilman's kicking your ass, you probably say, okay, I'm not going to bother. We'll be redshirting. If you're giving Gilman a go or getting the better of Gilman, you're probably saying, hey, it's probably in my best interest right now to Olympic redshirt.
Yeah.
And then you go and do it. I mean, you don't get a lot of chances at the Olympics. It's only once every 4 years. It's not like it's an every single year thing. It's once every 4 years. You are not going to get a whole bunch of shots. I mean, frankly, the guy, so we're talking, he's got another shot in 2024, but 2028, Matt, the guy who's wrestling Spencer Lee off in 2028 is probably about 12 years old right now.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about it, Daton Fix is 21 making the team. So if we go 9 years from now, that's a 12-year-old. There's a 12-year-old running around the country right now that are going to be wrestling Spencer Lee off for the 2028 Olympic spot. I mean, you never know what's going to happen by then.
Yeah, and I know, one of the discussion points is like, hey, this doesn't come around that often. Like with someone like Lee, like, why wouldn't you? Like, why is that even a conversation? It's like, yeah, of course you're going to be wrestling in the Olympic trials. You're right there. You have a legitimate shot where a guy like Lewis, and I think that's a different circumstance, even though he's a junior world champ, he seems like, I'm sure
he did not to pick on him
for Roby. Yeah.
And he did lose twice this college season to guys who were not contenders, right? He lost to Connor Flynn out of Missouri. And who's the other one he lost to? Both of whom were not All-Americans. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head.
Let's go to Junior Worlds.
Okay.
Because, and if we don't get through Junior Worlds, you and I, we're going to do the live show with Dake and Dieringer, and we are going to have to fill, I believe, Dake. I know this because Oklahoma State was complaining because Dake asked for a 35-minute break. That's a very specific amount of time for the break. So you and I are going to have 35 minutes between the end of the whistle of match 1 and the beginning of the whistle of match 2. You and I are going to have 35 minutes to fill. So we can save some for Saturday as well.
We can talk more disc golf. We can get an update after round 4 of the U.S. Championships.
World Championships. The only
World
round
Championships.
Left.
My bad.
World Championship, yes. Okay, so overall take, Junior Worlds. I thought day 1, I texted you, day 1 was a disaster. They obviously had Vito make the finals, but everyone else, no one, I think it was 0-1 or 1-1 at best on day 1. Day 2, they're on fire. Every single person medals. And my biggest takeaway, Matt, is Mason Parris has gotten immensely better. I mean, I remember watching him July 2018 get rolled up in Fargo by Anthony Cassiope and thinking, hey, this guy's a pretender. You know, he's a big, strong kid, but he kind of looked, he looked like a fraud at that point. And then, he has a very, very up and down freshman year at University of Michigan. And then even at the trials, the guy I help out with, Trent Hilger, beat him match 1. Parris comes back and wins match 2 and 3. But he looked good. He lost a match in the 2 out of 3. He looked good, not great. And then Matt, he hammer smashed everybody at the Junior Worlds. It wasn't close. Crushed him.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's his level of consistency. Each match at the World Championship, he was hitting the same gear. It looked like every single match, it's like he almost built momentum round around, as opposed to throughout this season. And I get it, he's a true freshman. Even going back to junior nationals last year when Cassiope put it on him, there seemed like inconsistencies with his performance. There's really good highs, but really bad lows. And, what it 100%. Looked like, this weekend or in the last 2 days, just a level of consistency with his, obviously the physical abilities are there, but can his mind and his focus match up to his abilities? And it seemed like his mind and his body were working in conjunction together throughout every single round of this tournament. Even like he just never even showed he never even opened the door to show a weakness in any match. Where even in some matches, even in some matches this year that he won, there were points in times like, wow, he really had a dip for 20, 30 seconds in this match, and then he regained his focus. But, it just seemed like his mind and body were working, 100% together throughout the last 2 days.
Hey, Matt.
Yes.
Would you Olympic Mason Parris if you're the Michigan coach? You got to, don't you? Don't you have to? You just saw how much better he got in the last 12 months. Don't you have to say, I'm giving this kid another year to develop? I think you have to.
Yeah, I mean, but
they're also redshirting. Who cares? Give him another year. Okay, give him a regular redshirt, Olympic redshirt. I don't care. Give him some type of redshirt. Let him sit out for the year.
Because he's got both available to him. I mean, at this point, if you get he can take an Olympic year because he's a world champ now. So, I mean, could he use it? But I think you're going to have.
I mean, Michigan could go all in, like we talked about Cornell doing, because I believe Mitchik is going to redshirt. I believe Miles Amin is going to redshirt. So then you give Adam Kuhn the redshirt. Mason Parris the redshirt also, and there you go.
I mean, that's got to be the most difficult struggle with college programs, because really, could Michigan win it next year? I mean, you could make an argument.
Mitchik is Olympic. Mitchik's already declared. He's done. Right, he's out.
I guess what I'm saying, Ben, is, okay, if everything was on the table, like Olympic year or not, like if all these guys weren't taking an Olympic year, Mitchik, Amin, possibly Parris, could they really win the team title? Probably not. Could they win a team trophy? Yes, which is really significant for most programs. So but you take Mitchik out of the equation, it's like, well, even a team trophy is probably not in the realm of possibility. Yeah. So why not? Yep. Why not? I mean, if that's the case, if it's off the table,
Yes, redshirt him.
Redshirt him.
So do you think
it's a lot easier said than done? We're not, we're not in the shoes of the coaches at Michigan. We don't know what's going through their head, and I think it's a really difficult, situation. It seems like Iowa's saying we're going all in to win the team title this year.
And Spencer Lee just said he might Olympic redshirt.
Yep. Which if they do that,
that's crazy. You're right. I'm with you, man. They should go all in.
Yeah,
totally with you on that. I'm seeing Michigan even has another heavyweight on their roster. I do not see one so far. I don't see one. They have Zachary Nemec, who's from Illinois. I don't really remember him at all. They have Luke Reddy from Michigan. I don't really remember him at all. That's it. So if they do have heavyweights on their rosters,
you're talking most likely a significant drop off. If pairs were to redshirt. Yes. But is there merit? I mean, if I'm Sean Bourmet at Michigan, do I take a page out of Kyle Snyder's book? Say, hey, we can do more of a hybrid season. We can continue to develop.
I just think, for me, Matt, I think he's going to get so much better. I watch how much better he's gotten last year. And I think in the next year, he's just going to get so much better. I mean, for as big and gigantic as he is, he kind of still looks like a child. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, he really does. I mean, he's got the frame. You see what he's going to be when he becomes a man, because we already know what the frame looks like before it completely matures. What about this scenario? What if you said, okay, hey, let's stay focused on freestyle through December. Keep our focus. Like, the intent is to take an Olympic year. Let's wrestle up through the U.S. Open through December and reevaluate after the U.S. Open in December and make a determination. Hey.
Oh, I could go with that. I like your idea. I like that, man. Yeah. That's good. Yes.
And it really wouldn't, that gives you enough time to refocus on folk style. But if you really want a true test, if he's ready, hey, keep building on the momentum. You just won a junior world title. Keep training freestyle. That's only 3 more months. Yeah. Let's stay locked in on freestyle. Continue to develop there. Make gains. Add to the momentum you build on to win this junior world title, and then let's truly see where you're at. Because outside of, hopefully Gwiz medals for us again. But if he doesn't, it gives you a true opportunity to see where you really sit against everybody in the field, right?
Yeah. Have we talked? Is Gable Stevenson getting an Olympic red shirt?
I mean, he just wrestled at Medved, right? He got second, so that probably leads us to believe, and he's.
But then didn't he say something that he was like Didn't he comment that he was happy that Anthony Cassar got another year? I thought he said something to that effect.
I'm not sure. And again, he's dealing with, and I don't really want to get into this because I don't know anything, but I know there's an off the mat issue that he might be dealing with. Oh, would it be? Yeah, that was it might better. Yeah, it might serve him better to take an Olympic year where he's removed from Minnesota's roster, where they don't have to deal with any of the drama surrounding that situation. He can, if there is a legal situation that he has to work through, he can work through that, but also continue to focus on his Olympic year without being a distraction to the Minnesota team. I'm sure those are all things that are working through him, but him, based upon him competing and getting a silver last week at Medved, you would think the Olympic red shirts in play,
and being so close with Nick Wisdowski. So yeah, you would think so. I would have to think that for sure. Okay, who you want to talk about next? Because there was a whole bunch. Do you want to talk about Vito? We kind of touched on Vito a little bit, but we didn't really talk about his specific performance. You want to talk about that?
I mean, I do have some thoughts about day one on our performance, and I know when we were talking back and forth, you were saying, "Man, we really looked out of shape." And I went back and
day one, they did not look good. Okay, was I off or no?
No, I think what we saw that's what it would lead you to believe is, yes, these guys looked out of shape. And I'm like, I know I wrote you. I'm like, how the heck? We're never out of shape. How could that even be possible?
We're never out of shape.
And then I started digging into things and looking at some things and reading things. And it seems like the team only arrived a day before the tournament. And so there really wasn't a...
Stop.
No, I'm serious. And I think Gary Abbott at USA
all
Wrestling
the way to damn... Where are they at? Kazakhstan? No, they're in Estonia.
Estonia.
It's still an 8 or 9 hour flight.
Right. And they got there the day before. So my thought is like, we didn't have enough time to acclimate, because basically if you're getting there the day before, these guys are taking an 8-10 hour flight over to Estonia.
Yeah.
And they basically have to,
good.
They pretty much have to hold their weight. They have to hold their weight during the flight and then make weight before they get there and then turn around the next day and wrestle.
Ooh.
And
are you sure they got there one day before? Because that's brutal if they did.
It's brutal, but I'm pretty sure I read that correctly. I need to go back, but I believe what I read was correct.
That's
and
crazy.
What Gary Abbott, and so that could give some legs to the fact, like, hey, maybe these guys just didn't have the time to acclimate. And then I'm digging deeper in and looking at the guys that did compete, and I'm like, why was Vito able to have this performance and a guy like Brooks was not? And I think, like with Vito, if acclimation
because Vito looked really good,
and I think, but Vito also had the luxury of making 25 in an hour weigh-in throughout the entire college season, where Brooks did not, right? And so maybe yes. the difference, and I know that Brooks had a very tough draw, but maybe he wasn't mature enough to know how to hold his weight, cut his weight, where Vito had a whole season to kind of perfect, how do I get down to weight? How do I turn around after an hour or two weigh in and perform at a high level and do it on multiple days? I think, this is just speculation. I'm just saying, I think Vito he's obviously very disciplined. He's shown how disciplined he can be with his lifestyle to make 125, do it at 57 kg, and do it over a 2-day period. So that's just my guess about why we look bad, is because I don't think we had time to acclimate, get the guys down to weight, and turn around and ready to perform well. Flight 2, yesterday and today's guys, when we had 5 guys all make the semifinals, like, they had that extra day, and that extra day could have been
that actually
the tipping point. Yeah.
Wow. I would be curious to hear if they really did go over one day before, because that would be shocking to me. But it's a Vito, Matt, I thought, so if I have to pick out one weakness that Vito has, it's sometimes, like in the final match, he struggles to generate his own offense. But his go behinds, his reattacks, his scrambling, I mean, he's high level at all of those things. And he's just a dangerous wrestler in so many different positions. And I got to think, if he continues to improve the way he has, he could compete with a Spencer Lee or a Daton Fix or a Nick Suriano. He could compete with those guys. There's no doubt about it.
And I said this to you yesterday, like, not only the development that we've seen out of Vito in the past year, from his redshirt year to his freshman year, through the freestyle campaign, through the junior national tour, like, he's shown this progression through high school. Like, I was always impressed being up in New York and watching Vito all through high school, to see the levels he jumped every year in high school always impressed me. Like, and he's continued.
So you remember watching him as a high school kid?
Yeah, I remember, the jumps he made from his freshman and sophomore year, and seeing from his sophomore year to his senior year, and his senior year to his second year in college. Like, he just, every step along the way, he's shown gains every year and every season, even from college to folk style, from high school to freestyle. Like, he's shown, I've just been really, really impressed about his trajectory over the last, 6 years that I've been watching him wrestle.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was super impressed with him. I thought he looked great this weekend. Okay.
And it's legit. Next? I mean, you even said it, like, if he keeps jumping like this, he was 4th at the Open. So he's right in there with the guys right now. And then he
he was up 6-0 on Daton Fix, and Daton Fix kind of melted him a little bit. But
yeah,
I mean, yeah, he has the skills to go with I think anyone in America. So that'd be interesting to see his trajectory and how he keeps improving because he looked really, really good to me. Our other champion, David Carr, I thought looked really good. He had a really tough road. He had the Russian guy first, then he had the Iranian, then he had Azerbaijan, who was a thorn in our side the first day, and then he had the Japanese guy. So super tough road. Obviously, the semis got a quick tech. Finals was a battle. It was 4-4. So the final score was 5-4, but essentially the Japanese guy got a push out with like 0 time left or 1 second left, and the Japanese coaches challenged, thinking maybe they could get a takedown, and then they got the protest point. So he wins 5-4. Looks really good. Good attacks, good finishes, tough on top. He got the ladies in the semis. I guess I'm excited. I'm really excited to see him at the NCAA level and see how he can do.
Yeah, I mean, my one takeaway, he just mowed through the field. Not mowed through them, but back-to-back performances day one. And the guys he had to beat just to get to the finals, really, really impressive. But overall, my big takeaway from Team USA is how good these guys are getting in parterre. I think that was a huge separating point for the entire team. Each one of those guys, you could tell the emphasis that they had placed in parterre, because I want to say every single performance, Tag was rolling guys. Tag was rolling guys with his leg lace. Carr was
Davidson
rolling guys
got a bunch of turns.
Yeah. Carr was rolling guys with our leg lace looked absolutely phenomenal. And
did Hidley get any turns?
Man, he got turns. He was freight training people on his feet. He's so powerful.
I never watched. He's so
He gets so many exposures feet to back. Was probably our best guy getting exposures from his takedowns. And as we talked about before, once you get that exposure off a takedown, man, if you can transition to your parterre, it makes it so much easier to build your lead.
Yes.
If you make that quick transition.
I never really watched Trent Hidley too much prior to this. I remember watching him maybe once or twice, but not he wasn't a guy I followed a huge amount. He looks awesome. He looks really, really good. Another guy, when I think of David Carr, it's I want to see how he figures into the NCAA mix next year. I want to see how Trent Hidley figures into the NCAA mix next year, because those are two guys where I watch them and I feel like, maybe I'm way off. I feel like they can go with anybody.
No, I definitely
feel like that.
I'm with you. So let me ask you this, and this goes hand in hand with, we looked really good in parterre, but specifically in parterre, we looked phenomenal with our leg laces. I didn't see a lot of guts, and this kind of goes back to the stats and the breakdown of what scores at the World Championships. We
could do the Junior Worlds if you want.
From a physical maturity standpoint, do you think it's easier for these guys to focus on a leg lace as opposed to a gut wrench at their level of maturity in their 18 to 20s? Do you think, because a gut, if you break it down, there's an element of just brute strength with the gut wrench, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
There is some to that with the leg lace too, but I think that's more technique based if you're really focused on certain techniques. So do you think at the junior level, from a pure maturation standpoint and just where they're at physically as 18 to 20-year-olds, you think it's maybe easier to score from a leg lace at that age group as opposed to a gut wrench?
I will tell you, I have never thought of it. I never thought of what determines leg lace or gut wrench. I will say that when I think about it, I think leg lace defense. So specifically when we start flat, right? When we're in parterre, obviously you can get some great transition into leg lace, which just then makes that roll. But as far as leg lace defense, if you're just in parterre, I feel like once you get good at it, it's really hard to leg lace somebody. Whereas So maybe if these junior level guys aren't quite as skilled at it, once you get the leg lace, you can score a whole bunch of points. I mean, just like David Carr in the semis. It's not like he's got to lock up 4 leg laces to get 8 points. He locks up 1 leg lace and gets 8 points out of it. And so I think, if it just they're not quite skilled enough at defending it, then they can give up a huge amount of points. Whereas a gut wrench, it's a little more difficult. And you see Vito almost got stepped over and pinned from a gut wrench. So there's also more risk there. Davison stepped over and pinned someone from a gut wrench. There's more risk on the gut wrench. So I have never really thought about that deeply. I hope that's my quick answer when I think about it for 2 minutes.
and not to take anything away, Carr in that semifinal match when he transitioned into his ankle lace, when he took the guy down, to your point about the defensive guy and Carr's opponent, like he got taken down and he left his legs crossed. Like he's violating 101 parterre defense.
Yes.
Like if you get taken down, get your knees apart, but he landed.
Yep.
And Carr was like, "Oh, you're going to leave your legs crossed?
Boom.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Match over."
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Which is a credit to him. Hey, he's smart. He understood the positions, so he was ready for it.
Yeah, and he really stuck with it. I mean, the thing is, he stuck with it. He really had to drive through that, and then eventually they started rolling. But he did have to work hard to get those first few turns. Okay, Matt, I say we're kind of time's up. I say we got that 35-minute break. So if we want to go back into Junior Worlds on Saturday, obviously we can do that. And if not, I got nothing else for you this show. You got anything else for me?
No. I think there's a couple other areas we can get into on Saturday, but looking forward to getting you down here. It's always fun doing the podcast face to face.
Is this our our third summit or fourth summit, Matt?
This will be our fourth. This will be our fourth summit.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So always a great time.
Yeah. Good. Well, safe travels down here, and we'll see you in a couple days.
All right, absolutely. See you guys later.
See ya.